All right, let's get to your big story this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're joining us from, which is Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, of course, after 5 years of being investigated by the IRS and prosecutors, has been charged with federal crimes. This was the front page of the Washington Post. Just look at this. Just take a look at this, how the media does this in Washington. Here's the Washington Post. Look at that picture. Do you think that they would do that with Trump? But I'm just asking, would they have a big like love fest picture, like him hugging Melania and like Donald Trump? It looks like
he's carrying a giant Bible. Is he carrying a giant Bible?
He is. I didn't even see that. Oh my God, my giant Bible for Inauguration Day. And here's a big kiss, Hunter. Hunter Biden reaches deal to plead guilty in tax and gun case. That's the Washington Post. I mean, you want to know what kind of a clown world we live in. Just look at the framing of that. Unbelievable. So weeks after the Justice Department removes IRS agents from investigating Hunter Biden, yet no explanation on that, by the way. Why were these guys removed from the Hunter Biden IRS investigation? For felony tax evasion, he gets hit with a misdemeanor. Miranda Devine, of course, who's been, Marina Medvin, excuse me, got my names mixed up, says Hunter Biden has been criminally charged. Hunter's lawyers got a plea deal worked out in advance. This smells fishy, like a throwaway to make it look like even-handed justice. Of course, there's a lot more to Hunter's conduct than this case. And it should be noted, just a frame of reference, right? He gets off with a misdemeanor for having a firearm, lying on a federal background check form, which is a felony, carries up to 10 years in prison. Lil Wayne, rapper Lil Wayne, I call him Little because we go way back, but his friends call him, people who don't know him as well as I know him call him Lil. Lil Wayne pleads guilty to federal gun charges. The rapper will be sentenced in January and faces up to 10 years in prison. Just a frame of reference for the exact same crime.
Have you ever seen, though, his deposition, Lil Wayne's deposition for these? It's like a comedy of error. Like, it looks kind of like a Bill Murray movie, like someone who's just taken the piss out of something. It does not look like a real thing. It's highly entertaining. I suggest you look it up on whatever video platform you...
I will.
Yeah, that's fun.
I will. So we're on the same page on that, so that he get, 10 years. Like, that's what he has to deal with, and Hunter Biden gets that. So just a few minutes ago, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy...
Well, we don't know what Hunter Biden will get. Pleading guilty does not mean he's been sentenced, right?
No, he won't get jail time. He's not going to get jail time. He will avoid jail time according to the plea agreement. So he will get out of jail and community service.
Wait, there's no sentencing coming?
No.
No, when they do a plea deal, that's to avoid all that. That's why they do the plea deal.
Yeah,
at least my understanding.
Well, not always. You could plea and then also.
We'll go through the details in a second, but it should be known he's not going to get jail time. And they worked out a plea agreement before the charges were filed. Oh, so like you knew they were coming, right? So you have the deal already in place, and then the charges come. How does that work? Would you kind of get that justice? Would you get that kind of treatment? You, me, or anybody else? Of course not. So
here's a question. If someone else were charged with something similar from now on, could they then use this as precedence and say, this person got this, we're going to order, argue in court that this is preferential treatment, so we should get it too?
I don't know. I mean,
would this set precedence for anything else? We think
depends
we should.
Depends on their budget.
Yeah, how much money they have. It's not unprecedented. This has happened from time to time. This is not unprecedented. Like, this is the first time in U.S. history this has happened. Mm-hmm. But there's a number of instances where this has happened, where plea agreements have been worked out before charges have been filed. But I mean, you mean just like the average person who lies on a felony background gun application,
right? Or unregistered foreign agents, which now that's a joke because that wasn't even part of the charges.
So not even part of the charges. Yeah.
My friend Alex just texted me and he said he got probation for the felony gun charge and fines for the misdemeanor tax crimes.
Yeah, fines, but no jail time. Just to be clear.
Right.
No jail time.
Is that reporting probation, non-reporting?
Yeah, I mean, who knows in D.C. and
But we already knew from the Twitter files that he was protected by the FBI. We saw the emails from Elvis Chan from the San Francisco Bureau of the FBI asking Twitter to please not report on certain things regarding the laptop. We saw who was communicating about the laptop, who was calling it a false story, even though they already had possession of the laptop. We already know that he's been protected by the Justice Department. So this shouldn't be surprising as much as it's just a punch to the gut.
Yeah, and of course, also like his girlfriend throws the gun in a trash can right near a school. By the way, imagine if anyone else did that. That's illegal. Throwing a gun away in a trash can near a school. Like, yeah, come on. But no, that's not in the charges at all. So anyway, Kevin McCarthy. So what does this do to the House investigation on this? Because that's a separate thing, right? Like, does this end the House investigation on this? Or are they going full bore with this? Just a few minutes ago, Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, spoke about this. Watch.
Can we talk a little bit about the Hunter Biden plea deal and your reaction?
My first reaction is it continues to show the two-tier system in America. If you are the president's leading political opponent, the DOJ tries to literally put you in jail and give you prison time. If you are the president's son, you get a sweetheart deal. Now, this does nothing to our investigation. It actually should enhance our investigations because the DOJ should not be able to withhold any information now.
Okay, but what can the House do is refer findings to the DOJ.
Yeah, because they have no prosecutor.
They can drag it out and then they refer it.
Right.
But then that's all we'll get is transparency. And then all of us will be like riled up and pissed because we'll see more. And nothing will happen.
Well, and we should point out that the IRS piece of this, lying and, people get slapped with audits and problems from the IRS for like a penny being missed on their taxes or $100 being missed on their taxes. How about Hunter Biden $1.2 million that you forgot to file? So again, two-tier justice system. But the taxes piece of this was always sort of seen as like the Al Capone way of capturing him, right? It's like, oh, really? All the murder and the drug running or the bootlegging or whatever the hell else Al Capone was doing, but you got him on taxes? That was sort of seen in this. So there's a lot more there. And if they do find something that they can specifically point to with these tax statements or these bank statements and all of the other bribery schemes and the payoffs and the money laundering, then of course that can be sent to the DOJ, and you hope that they would take action.
Something new.
You hope that they would take action. So U.S. Attorney David Weiss said today that a plea agreement will not end the Justice Department's DOJ investigation into Hunter Biden. Weiss's office said the investigation into Biden is ongoing. So they're not done. The DOJ as well. So, okay, they're this big piece of it, but I'm just curious, what else then are they looking at? Well, hopefully we'll get clarity on that, exactly what that means. But again, plea deal, no. By the way, I love this AP take on this. So the Associated Press, Hunter Biden will plead guilty in a tax deal that likely averts time behind bars in a tax and gun case. And this is the Associated Press just this afternoon. He will plead guilty to federal tax offenses. He'll plead guilty to misdemeanor tax offenses as part of an agreement made public Tuesday. The deal ends a long-running Justice Department investigation into Biden's second son. Well, it actually doesn't end, so it's lying. This AP article is actually incorrect. And it requires the younger Biden to admit guilt. But then the sixth paragraph down, it immediately switches. Instead of talking about Hunter, it goes into Trump. And then it goes into Trump's problems. This is an article about Hunter Biden. But it cannot, the Associated Press cannot just focus on Hunter Biden and the crimes. No, it has to then spin half the article going into Trump and then his indictment. And
an utter lack of curiosity about the president's taxes, given we know how intertwined their finances were.
Right.
So does this implicate the president? Is there something here that's being given a nice pass? Again, a journalist should ask those questions. These journalists don't because they are so obviously partisan.
So let me ask you this question. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm waiting for the president to address it and be like, my son, I love him, but I'm glad justice was served. I'm glad that they did what they did and brought, got that taken care of so that we can move on as a country and get over this.
Or, he's like, darn, that Donald Trump and his whole witch hunt thing. Wish I could use that, but it's a bit played out. Got to think of one like that.
So meanwhile, do you think that, I'm going to ask you guys this question. We'll throw this out here to the chat right now. Do you think that the FBI should release the hidden audio recordings and the documents related to President Biden allegedly accepting bribes while vice president of the United States? What do you guys think about that? Would you like to see the evidence that a Ukrainian gas company paid the Bidens perhaps tens of millions of dollars in bribery deals? The Chinese also, wherever this money is flowing from, we don't specifically know, through shell companies, and how this money is being laundered. And yes, that number has now gone up. Instead of $5 million, we're talking 10, maybe even $30 million in bribery monies paid to the Bidens in the latest revelations, which we'll get to in a moment.
Think the Democratic Party always talks about transparency, so I mean, it's only fair that they would release it, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Talk about how transparent they are.
Show us. And remember, President Biden said he was going to be, very transparent as a president. So just show us. Show us and explain, and give us these audio recordings. This morning, a new poll out shows that a whopping 83% of voters believe the information the FBI has on it should be made public. 83%. That's not exactly a partisan response, actually, because when you looked at the numbers in the poll, over 3 in 4 Democrats said, yes, we'd like to see it as well. 3 in 4. So Democrats want to see what dirt the FBI is hiding and keeping from the American public.
And the other 1 out of 4 work for the media.
Right. Yeah, they work in the mainstream media.
Don't want to see that.
Yeah. So the allegations of Joe Biden receiving a multi-million-dollar bribe from a Ukrainian company, Burisma, is being totally ignored by the liberal media, and there was virtually no coverage of what happened last week in the Senate. None. Last week, Senator Marsha Blackburn, among other senators, Ted Cruz and others, grilled Josh Hawley. It was really amazing to watch. They grilled the deputy director of the FBI on why this evidence is being redacted from the American people. Watch.
You chose to redact it, yes or no?
We often redact documents to protect
so
sources
you chose
and
to
methods.
redact the fact that there are 17 voice recordings, 2 of those with the now president. You chose to redact that and not to give that to House oversight.
I have
Is
no
that
idea
accurate?
if there are voice recordings or not. What I will tell you with respect to the
You have
document,
no-
the document was redacted to protect the source, as everyone knows.
Right. So apparently the audio recordings were made by a Burisma whistleblower who has them on the vice president on audio and kept these messages as an insurance policy. Burisma, of course, is the same oil and gas company that had Hunter Biden on its payroll for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why. I mean, Burisma, of course, why exactly was he on the payroll? It's all very fishy. What gas expertise could Hunter Biden provide Burisma? The answer is none. I probably know more about natural gas than Hunter Biden. This whistleblower knew about these alleged bribes and turned it over to the FBI, and the FBI did nothing with it. Sat on it, kept it silent, and continues to keep it silent. So then the whistleblower comes forward to Senator Chuck Grassley in order to get them to do what the FBI wouldn't do. The FBI doesn't appear to be forthcoming, and Senator Ron Johnson also pissed about it. Watch.
They're just not being forthright with Congress in terms of telling us what they did do. And you have to ask yourself, why not? Now, obviously, the FBI whistleblower, I think it's pretty obvious, came forward to Senator Grassley because he wasn't satisfied with what the FBI did with that information, which is why he made that 1023 form available to Senator Grassley. So, again, we've got an FBI whistleblower that obviously wasn't satisfied with the investigatory actions of the FBI. And now we have the FBI continuing to cover up and not being forthright with Congress. You know, we have legitimate and constitutional oversight authority. We also have investigatory authority as well. We should have access to these types of investigatory materials, but the FBI is just hiding the ball on us.
Of course, the pieces are starting to come together, though. You'll recall 3 years ago, leaked audio tapes emerged of sitting Vice President Joe Biden reassuring former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko the Ukrainian whistleblower who knew what Biden was up to would be buried, right? That whistleblower had evidence that Biden and Obama were extorting Poroshenko. Why would they need to reassure Poroshenko? Watch, listen.
If it is true that FBI working with him, at least I want to know that. No, they are not. I told you the FBI concluded he had nothing, and they stopped. That was it. There's no reason to talk to him again.
Okay.
I will check that and confirm that with you.
Okay, he's not supposed to be able to check in on federal investigations.
How does he know this?
Yeah.
How does he know this? So he's reassuring him that the audio tapes related to the Burisma scandal, which a Ukrainian government aide had turned over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, had been stopped. Okay. That has the FBI made them disappear? Okay.
Which is what launched the Mueller investigation when, the idea that Trump may have asked James Comey to stop an investigation is why we had the Mueller investigation, is because the executive branch should not be able to reach into the judicial branch, period.
Well, and my question is, who does the FBI actually work for? If they don't have to answer to Congress, they don't have to answer to the Senate, they don't have to answer to the president, then are they just a rogue group of investigators that have federal power that can do whatever they want? Because somebody has to demand that they give them the information, or otherwise they're just what? Who runs them?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, they're supposed to be working for the people, and there are a lot of. You presume there are a lot of, heroes that work there that go after child traffickers.
Well, they're supposed to be doing things that protect us. So protecting tax evasion, okay, that serves a purpose, right? So that the country doesn't go broke and people pay their taxes. Protecting us from foreign agents, unregistered foreign agents. Protecting us from, that you could make an argument, all manner of things that Hunter Biden has done, one of which is access to a leading political figure for other countries, for other companies to make decisions that will favor foreign companies, foreign actors, and not favor the American people. Because usually, let's say it's Burisma, this Ukrainian power company, whatever they want is probably not in the best interests of America. And so selling the best interests to America through access to high-ranking politicians is what the FBI should want to prevent.
Yeah, you would think.
That's pretty easy. It's easy to draw that line.
So, how does he get how does the FBI stop this? Like Joe Biden checks in on this after the phone call. He's like, or before the phone call. He's like, I have it on authority. They've stopped this. They've stopped looking into this. Really? How is that possible that the FBI made them disappear and you have the inside scoop on that? So you're able to tell Poroshenko that on the phone, right? That's interesting. How did he learn that in the first place? In other words, someone came forward with damning evidence against Biden, goes to the FBI, and then the FBI basically tells them they're going to cover it up. We know about the bribes. We're just going to cover it up. That's basically what Biden is saying on this phone call with Poroshenko.
Or we won't go further inside of this investigation. Like we'll leave this one on the ground. Yeah. Walk away from it.
We just won't touch it anymore, Joe. Hans Meinke has been tracking all of this and has a new expose coming out this summer exposing every fraud related to the Russiagate story. I can't wait to read it, watch it, see it, whatever it is. He connected the dots on a lot of these phone calls and bribes. And here's Meinke's tweet. He said, if you thought this was bad, Hans notes, here's the real shocker. Shortly after Poroshenko's aide blew the whistle, Poroshenko asked Biden whether the aide was now cooperating with the FBI. Incredibly, Biden assured Poroshenko that the FBI wasn't pursuing it. And as Dan Bongino rightly pointed out, how would Biden have known that the FBI even dropped this? Like, how do you get the inside scoop on that?
Again, even asking about it got a special counsel of Robert Mueller for Trump.
Yeah.
All he did was ask, hey, I hope you can let this thing go, or whatever he said, right? Just asking about it was what made Comey write the memo.
Strangely, it's amazing. So he's on the phone with Poroshenko, right? And then there's a readout, like the vice president's office then prints out a readout like, hey, he was on the phone with the Ukrainian president. Here's what they talked about. The White House always does this. The vice president's office always does this. Here's the meeting with Xi Jinping. Here's what they talked about. So the vice president's office then releases an official readout of this phone call with Poroshenko. Notably, the readout of the vice president's call with Poroshenko of Ukraine. I'll just read it. Vice President Joe Biden called Poroshenko today to commend him, the government of Ukraine, and the central bank for their decisive action to strengthen the country's banking sector and protect Ukrainian depositors through the nationalization of the Privat Bank. Of course, the Privat Bank is the same bank that he wanted closed down because the money trail was all hidden inside a private bank and how that money was being put in different shell companies and funneling to the Biden administration or to the Bidens. So of course you'd want it shut down, because if Trump's coming in, he's going to have questions. And that's exactly what came out on those phone calls with Poroshenko. He wanted the private bank closed down. So there's no mention in this White House readout of anything about the FBI investigation. It's curious why the White House, the office of the vice president, just deleted that part of the phone call. There's no record of him talking to Poroshenko about an FBI investigation or a whistleblower going to the FBI. Why did they leave that out? It's amazing. It's amazing. Members of Congress say this is getting worse by the minute. James Comer, who's running this investigation in the House, says these bribes are not just $5 million. It's going up as high as $30 million in illegal bribes to the Biden family. Listen to his interview with Maria.
If this is all true about a sitting president when he was vice president, influence peddling, accepting money from foreign nationals so that he could turn around and make changes in policy for America so he could pocket the money, if that's true, why isn't he impeached already? And if it's true that the FBI is doing nothing about it, why isn't Christopher Wray on his heels as well?
Those are great questions I ask every day. Look, Christopher Wray has no control over the FBI. One thing that I've learned from dealing with Grassley's whistleblowers is that this is an organization in disarray. No one has confidence in leadership at the top. You have bureaucrats, deep state bureaucrats, who are running the show. They're partisan. They want to get Donald Trump. They don't care what Joe Biden does because Joe Biden can be controlled. So we have issues with the FBI, but my investigation is about following the money. We're going to continue to follow the money. And Maria, I can assure you there's more money that we're going to be able to identify that was transferred between foreign nationals in other countries and the Biden family. This is going to be hard for Joe Biden to explain, and it's not going to go away. This is going to be an issue, and I think eventually the mainstream media will turn on Joe Biden and start asking the real questions. What did your family do to receive all this money?
What number are you up to now? How much have you identified of the money he's taken in from foreign nationals?
We have more bank records coming in, but we're going to exceed 10 million this week, right. And I think we'll get up between 20 and 30 million dollars.
Okay.
Well, what he seems to be indicating there is even what the FBI wants to do may not be relevant. That when he's dealing with these whistleblowers, there is some kind of outside political pressure that shows us that the separation of these branches of government is a ruse. It's just not there. Yeah. That even if the FBI wants to do the right thing, they are unable because of who is currently in power. Mm-hmm. And that the people that are in power now are subverting the laws of justice. And it is not equal justice under the law when it comes to political parties. I don't know how you would argue any other way that this is fair.
What's amazing is when you watch that FBI Senate hearing the other day, Democrats didn't ask the deputy director anything about it. Nothing. All of the Democrats were on the same page. Ted Cruz called him out during the testimony, and he said not one Democrat will ask a question about this because they're all controlled by the mainstream media, the corporate media. I would say a lot of Republicans are as well, that, they're not above that. I believe both parties are pretty corrupt, but when it comes to our justice system,
and
absolutely.
Both parties have this sort of blind loyalty. For instance, during the Trump years, if anyone in a Republican sphere was found guilty of any kind of sexual misconduct, all other Republicans were like, oh, I don't see that, because if I see that, I have to see Trump's stuff, and I don't want to see that at all. And this does nobody any favors when each party falls in line of this blind faith, and I will not see what is inconvenient for the party and the power system that I have filed behind. Look where it's getting us. Yeah. It's getting us nowhere, right? Yeah. And that's shameful. We should all want everyone who's done wrong to answer for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.